My boss told me to start tracking every single thing I did at work, so I did, right down to my bathroom breaks and what I cooked for lunch. 3 days later, he begged me to stop. You won't believe how this ends.
My name is Tyler Vaughn. I'm originally from a small town in Southeast Asia, but for the past couple of years I've been working full-time, remotely, for an American e-commerce business based in Oregon. The company sells modern home decor products through Shopify and also lists items on Etsy and eBay. My role? Pretty straightforward. I manage the online stores, upload new products, fix descriptions, optimize tags and SEO, and make sure everything stays synced across platforms. Monday to Friday, 40 hours a week, I'm the quiet guy behind the scenes keeping their digital storefronts running smoothly. For almost a year, I reported directly to a guy named Gordon Heller. Picture this, mid-40s, Portland suburbs, the kind of guy who drinks oat milk lattes, uses phrases like synergy, and listens to productivity podcasts during yoga. Gordon wasn't a bad guy, but like a lot of people who run online businesses, he was obsessed with tracking. He wanted dashboards, spreadsheets, graphs, and systems for everything. I didn't mind. I'm organized by nature. At the end of each workday, I'd send Gordon a short message summarizing what I'd done. It was nothing fancy, just a quick summary like uploaded 15 new products, fixed Etsy listings, updated homepage layout. Simple, efficient, no complaints. Then, one day, out of nowhere, I get a message from Gordon. It said, "Hey Tyler, can you make your end-of-day reports more detailed? Please include everything you do during your shift." And that was it. No context, just a request for more detail. Now, I get it. Maybe he wanted to show investors or someone on his team what I was doing. Maybe he thought I was slacking off. Either way, I didn't argue. I just read the message, smiled to myself, and thought, all right, you want everything? I'll give you everything. The next day, I created a new document, and from the moment I logged in, I recorded every single thing I did. I mean everything. I documented every task, every click, every bathroom break, and every sip of coffee. At 9:01 a.m., I wrote, "Logged into Shopify. The system is a little slow today." At 9:06 a.m., refresh dashboard, no new orders overnight. 9:08 a.m., checked Slack, no messages. 9:10 a.m., took a sip of coffee, bitter, Ethiopian blend, probably overbrewed. By 9:12, I had noticed a typo in one product title. I edited it, synced the product to Etsy and eBay, note the lag time for Etsy uploads, resized one image that didn't look right on mobile. All of it was logged with timestamps. Around noon, I went to make lunch, and yes, I wrote that down too. At 12:35 p.m., I boiled 2 eggs, fried rice with leftover chicken. I added soy sauce. I ate lunch while listening to a podcast. Total time, 25 minutes, including cleaning plate. I didn't leave anything out. If I blinked too long, I might have written that down too.
By the time I was done, the document was nearly 2 pages long, over 1,800 words. I copied the whole thing into a message and sent it to Gordon at the end of my shift. No response. The next day, I did it again. Another full report. Logged everything, from fixing a minor formatting issue on Shopify to noticing that the homepage looked slightly off-center on Safari. Everything was noted. I even included a line that said, "Scrolled through Slack for 2 minutes. No new updates." Still no response. On the third day, just before I could begin writing yet another full report, I saw a new message pop up in my inbox. It was from Gordon. It was one line. It said, "Okay, you can go back to the old report format." That was it. No explanation, no feedback, just surrender. I didn't say anything back. I just nodded, smiled, and went back to my regular 3-line end-of-day reports. Ever since then, Gordon never asked for more detail. Not once. Now, let me be clear. I wasn't being petty. I was being precise. I followed his instructions exactly. I gave him what he asked for, and in doing so, I made a point without raising my voice or breaking a rule. Sometimes, people who love control don't realize how exhausting it is until they get it. And sometimes, the best revenge is just following orders a little too perfectly. After Gordon's message, the one where he quietly told me I could go back to the old report format, I didn't reply. I didn't have to. The silence between us was more satisfying than any thank you could have been. From that point on, things were smooth. I went back to my usual 3-line end-of-day reports. Uploads, syncs, minor fixes, just the highlights. It was all business as usual. For a while. Then something new happened. Roughly a month later, I logged into Slack and noticed a new name on the team list, a new hire. Her name was Haley Zorn. I clicked on her profile. Early 30s, blazered profile pic, bright, professional smile. Based on her intro message in the general channel, she had joined as the new operations manager. Apparently she had a background in systems optimization and workflow improvement, and it showed. She posted something like, "Hi team, excited to be here. I'll be working on improving our internal processes and creating more visibility across operations." I'd seen this kind of person before. Within 2 hours of her joining, I got a message in my direct inbox.
Hi, Tyler. I've heard great things. I'd love a breakdown of what you do day to day, what your time looks like per task, and how your output is tracked. Let's align and optimize your workflow. Now, let me stop right here. I knew exactly what was going on. Gordon hadn't let go of his obsession with knowing every detail. He just delegated it. Haley was here to clean up what he saw as loose ends, and apparently I was one of them. I wrote back, politely, giving her a high-level summary of my role: product uploads, cross-posting, SEO, image updates, quality checks, and syncs to Etsy and eBay. I even added in average time estimates for each type of task. But, of course, that wasn't enough. The very next morning, she asked if I could track tasks in a daily log and send it at the end of each day for visibility. She said it would help her understand my workflow more clearly. Sound familiar? At that point, I could have said something. I could have pushed back. But why? I had already played this game once, and I had won. Now it was time for the sequel. So I smiled to myself, opened up a new Google Doc, and got to work. Each day I logged everything, every tiny action, every adjustment, every observation. But this time, I fine-tuned the tone to make it even more polite, even more professional, while still keeping the same absurd level of detail. 8:59 a.m. Logged into Shopify. All systems are green. 9:03 a.m. Edited product title for item number 4421. Removed the word eco-friendly based on recent feedback. 9:10 a.m. Synced updated product to eBay. Lag time, 3 seconds, normal. 9:15 a.m. Opened Etsy sync. Double-checked character limits in tags. 9:20 a.m. Took a moment to stretch and refill the water bottle. Sat back down at 9:25. And so on. I even added subtle observations just to highlight how routine the job really was. 11:22 a.m. No new messages on Slack. Everything remains stable. 11:25 a.m. Noticed slight misalignment in the hero image on mobile view. Adjusted padding, retested. Lunchtime, documented. 1:12 p.m. Cooked stir-fry noodles with leftover vegetables. Cleanup included, 22 minutes total. I did this for 3 days straight. Every day, the log was about 1,000 words long. Clean, clear, detailed, unnecessary in every way, but technically exactly what they asked for.
On day 4, I got another message from Haley. "Hey, these logs are very detailed. Just checking, do you actually track your entire day this closely, or is this just for me?" I replied kindly, "You asked for a breakdown of daily tasks and time tracking. I'm simply providing full transparency as requested." She didn't respond. The next day, no message. The day after that, still nothing. I went ahead and sent a regular short report, like I used to, just to test the waters. No objections, no requests, nothing. 2 days later, Gordon finally sent a quick message. "Hey Tyler, Haley and I discussed your reports. No need for detailed tracking anymore. Just the normal summaries are fine going forward." There it was again, that familiar sound of silent surrender. I didn't gloat. I didn't even change my tone. I just kept doing my job, like always. But the lesson had been taught a second time. Some people in management think that tracking every detail makes them better leaders. But the truth is, when they start obsessing over how many minutes their remote employees spend adjusting a product title, they aren't leading, they're just hovering. And if they insist on asking for every detail, sometimes the best way to deal with it is to simply give them what they want, all of it. By the time they realize how absurd it is to track a grown adult's water breaks, it's too late. They've already exposed themselves as the problem. After that second time, everything settled into a kind of rhythm. No more requests for logs, no more visibility talks.
Haley moved on to other things like trying to standardize supplier communication and improving inventory flow. Meanwhile, I just kept doing my job, quietly, consistently. And from the outside, everything looked normal again. But behind the scenes, the whole vibe had shifted. You know how sometimes after an awkward moment in a meeting, everyone acts like it didn't happen, but you can still feel it? That's what it was like between me, Haley, and Gordon. They didn't say anything, but they were definitely more careful, more hands-off. It was as if they realized that trying to monitor every click of my day only made them look foolish, not just to me, but probably to others on the team too. I wasn't the only one who noticed the shift. Luis, one of the other remote contractors, messaged me privately one day. He was based in Mexico City and handled customer service and returns. Solid guy. He said, "Hey man, what did you say to Haley? She used to bug me for ticket response logs every day. Then last week she suddenly told me I can go back to weekly summaries."
I just replied, "I didn't say anything. I just followed directions." Lewis sent back a laughing emoji, and that was the end of it. But I could tell the story was spreading in small ways. I wasn't trying to start a revolution, but somehow, just by refusing to be micromanaged quietly, I had set a tone. Now, this might sound like a happy ending, but it wasn't quite over yet. Because a few months later, the company started scaling. Hard. New product lines, bigger marketing campaigns, international shipping, and of course, more hires, which meant more managers. And one of those new hires was Bennett Cray. Bennett came in with the title of Head of Digital Operations. Big title, bigger personality. His job, according to the company announcement, was to refine workflows across our remote workforce and eliminate operational inefficiencies. I read that line and immediately knew what was coming. Bennett introduced himself with a 600-word Slack message. It was the kind of thing that read like a LinkedIn post. Lots of phrases like data-driven and laser focus on execution. He even signed off with, "Let's crush Q3. Within 2 days, he was holding one-on-one calls with everyone on the remote team. When my turn came, I kept things polite, gave him the same overview I had given Haley. He nodded, took notes, and said all the right things, but right before the call ended, he hit me with it. "I'd like you to start logging your daily output. Doesn't need to be too detailed, just want to track performance trends." And there it was, round 3. At this point, I wasn't even annoyed anymore. It was like watching a rerun of a sitcom where you already know the punchline. I nodded and told him, "Sure thing." The next day, I reactivated the log. But this time, I made it even cleaner. Not sarcastic, no jokes, just absolute military-grade reporting. 9 a.m., logged in to Shopify. 9:03, checked stock levels on new product launches. 9:07, resized image for product ID 3312. 9:12, synced image changes across Etsy and eBay. 9:20, reviewed keywords for seasonal products, made 3 updates. It read like a machine was writing it. Efficient, accurate, soulless. I did this for 5 straight days. On the 6th day, Bennett messaged me. "Hey Tyler, appreciate the logs, but I think I underestimated how granular the reporting would be. Let's pivot to weekly summaries instead."
Pivot. There it was, the corporate surrender word of choice. I agreed, of course, and just like that, the 3rd round ended exactly like the first 2. Now you might be wondering, why didn't I just say no from the start? Here's the thing, I could have, but if I had pushed back, they would have seen it as resistance, maybe even non-cooperation. But by doing exactly what they asked, just to an uncomfortable degree, I never gave them that angle. Instead, I made them see for themselves how ridiculous their expectations were. They wanted visibility, I gave it to them. They wanted structure, I built it. And when they realized it was more work for them than for me, they always backed down. The truth is, when managers don't trust the people they hire, they start trying to manage time instead of outcomes. But that doesn't work with independent workers, especially not ones who are already getting results. After Bennett stepped back from his little experiment in overtracking, life went back to normal for good. At least for me. The rest of the team eventually got the memo too. No more time-tracking requests, no visibility logs, and certainly no daily performance audits.
It was like the company collectively realized something. They didn't need to know how I spent every minute of my day. They just needed to know that things were getting done, and they were. I kept delivering, on time, with quality, quietly. And now, a year after all of this began, I'm still working for the company. Still remote, still full-time, but things are very different now. The reports, I still send them, just like before. 3 lines, clean, clear, effective. Gordon occasionally reacts with a simple, thanks, or looks good. But he's never once asked for more detail again. Haley still works there, but our conversations are mostly just check-ins and quick clarifications. She respects the boundaries now.
As for Bennett, he's gone. Last I heard, he left to join another startup that aligns better with his leadership values, whatever that means. Maybe they'll let him track someone's bathroom breaks over there. But here's the funny thing. Over time, I started mentoring one of the new hires. Her name's Camilla. She joined a few months ago and works on product descriptions and translations. One day during a call, she asked me how I managed to stay under the radar and still get so much done. I told her the truth. I just give them exactly what they ask for. Nothing more, nothing less. She laughed, but I meant it. Because this story isn't just about me writing long reports or it being sarcastic. It's about boundaries and expectations. And a little thing I like to call strategic obedience. See, a lot of people think rebellion has to be loud. They think that to push back, you have to argue, confront, or protest. But sometimes, the most effective form of resistance is agreement. Not a fake agreement, but complete, unwavering, full-on agreement. So thorough, so literal, that the other person has no choice but to realize how unreasonable their request was in the first place. That's what I did. They said, give us more detail. I said, sure. And I gave them everything. Every tap of the keyboard, every click, every spoonful of rice at lunch. I gave them what they wanted, until they realized they didn't actually want it. And here's what I learned. Micromanagers don't fear rebellion. They fear compliance, real compliance. Because when you follow their orders exactly, the burden shifts. The cracks in their systems become visible. Their assumptions get exposed. You don't have to break the rules to prove a point. Sometimes you just follow them so precisely that the rules break themselves. Since then, my reputation inside the company has actually improved. Quietly, I became the guy who doesn't cause problems, but also doesn't let nonsense slide. Someone who can be trusted to get things done, but won't be pushed around with pointless oversight. And I'll admit, there's a little satisfaction in knowing that. Not smugness, not revenge exactly, but the satisfaction of holding your ground without ever raising your voice. So, if you're out there listening to this, and you're being micromanaged by someone halfway across the world, whether it's a boss who wants to see what you're doing every second, or a manager who doesn't trust your time, remember this. You don't have to fight. You don't have to argue. You just have to follow the rules. Exactly. Literally. Fully. Let them drown in the details they asked for. Eventually, they'll come up for air and beg you to stop.
If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like, subscribe for more, and share it with someone who'd appreciate it. Thanks for watching.